Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Multifamily Talks Live. I'm Krista Hurley, Industry Principal for RealPage, and I'm so excited to be here today with my bestie, Dayna, discussing the year of the resident. Multifamily Talks Live is a live video series you can expect monthly, talking about all things multifamily here on LinkedIn. Think live, candid conversations in more bite-sized format. If you can't tune in, no worries. You can watch or listen to the replay using the link below or wherever you listen to your podcast. And make sure to follow us on LinkedIn so you don't miss out on any new conversations. Hi, Dayna. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. Hi, I'm Dayna Gardner. I'm an industry principal here at RealPage, and I specialize in everything that is part of the renter journey. I really love diving into the latest trends and tips and innovations that are really reshaping the entire renter landscape to make it better for renters and property managers alike.
Love that. So I keep hearing solidly, we are in the year of the resident. What does that exactly mean?
Oh my goodness, yes. I feel like this is the buzz phrase that we've heard since the beginning of the year. And honestly, in 2024, there was just such a massive influx of new technology that was built that helps our operators engage their renters. And this is from, new resident portals to new payment methods or rewards, and frankly, lots of different things in between. And with such a huge influx of new technology in a market that's marked with heavy supply, it really does make a lot of sense that this will be the year that our operators really begin adopting this technology to help with retention and to really set themselves apart from their competitors.
Nice. So I know that the listeners or even the audience on LinkedIn may notice a different background for me. That's because I'm at NMHC this week. And yesterday there was a panel held by Margaret Hepner, Chief Operating Officer of Residential Management at Willowbridge. And the topic was navigating market trends and maximizing opportunities in multifamily operations. And she asked her panelists, what is the biggest pain points in their multifamily operations? Expenses was a huge topic alongside risk, but you could feel the angst and passion to resolve the issues of retaining your people, whether that be on-site people or resident people. And so I'd love to deep dive into that more of how our operators can set themselves apart in 2025 through that elevated resident experience you were talking about, making it easier for the on-site teams to engage. So what do you think the operators need to focus on to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think, as we moved through the last quarter of 2025 and as we start 2025, it's become really, really clear that our customers were focused on a few different things. So, for starters, centralization and role specialization initiatives are really driving more operators to find options for residents to self-service those everyday needs that will help them really free up more time so that the site teams can specialize in hospitality style customer service. So we're seeing a lot of that role specialization come to fruition and more focused around customer service, generally speaking. And so we're starting to see new roles like resident service roles or concierge roles that are starting to pop up more and more frequently, or maybe roles that have been, leasing consultants or assistant managers migrating to these new roles. So very, very interesting. It's also really allowing operators to focus on utilizing technology as the foundation for delivering their renter-facing brand promise. So we're starting to see many companies looking to mature their resident experience and ultimately deliver on their own brand promises to remain competitive in the market. And we've been saying that 2025 is also this year of seamless connection, right? So many operators are looking for ways to consolidate their point solutions. So taking all of these different things and places that they have renters going and streamlining their technology workflows to simplify them as much as possible. And this is really helping those time-constrained site teams, so helping to retain them as well. But ultimately, all of the focus on the renter experience is to ultimately drive loyalty and renewals.
So you're saying hospitality. When I hear loyalty and renewals, I think hospitality, which is such a simple thing to execute. But when the site teams have so much on their plates, as you mentioned, to handle, it gets lost in the sauce. So how does implementing new technology release teams to focus on more hospitality?
Yeah, so for so long, operators, especially those that are on site, complete so many of their day to day tasks manually. This is mind blowing to me in conversations that I have where we have so many communities that are still managing amenities from a binder with a stapled check and a signed agreement for a club room, or they're still processing a ton of paper checks and spending whole days during rent cycles processing paper checks or money orders. Or they're still printing out renewal leases and putting them in a manila envelope and walking to the door and shoving them through the door jamb so that a renter can sign them and throw them back through the door on at the leasing office. I mean, this is not even addressing the several layers of notifications or communication items that need to happen on any given day. Maybe they need to notify for asphalt work that's happening, or water's getting shut off in a building, or they need to send out notices around rent or balances due. All of these things have been so manual for so long, and we really need to break out of that cycle. And by adopting robust portal technology with modern means of communication and as many layers as possible for renters to begin self servicing and doing things on their own, we can remove that manual work for site teams. So all of those things that they were doing that took a lot of time out of their day, walking around the property, delivering things and communicating, through paper, can now free them up to focus on things like hospitality driven functions and customer service.
And what I love about you and I, Dayna, obviously we're besties, but we've always called ourselves the bookends, right? Like you handle all of the resident stuff and then I'm on the leasing side and everything in the middle kind of comes together for us. And so all of that you just mentioned in terms of those manual tasks and modern ways of communication, you're just talking about the resident side. There's all of this leasing stuff that they also have to endure and deal with. So alleviating a lot of those pain points can help with that resident experience for sure. But how does it focus around customer service? How does that really change?
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly so much that I can really say about this, but what it really comes down to is getting back to basics and delivering on a brand promise. In multifamily, this is really when an owner or an operator commits to their renters and outlines the value and experience that a renter can expect by doing business with them or living at one of their communities. And brand promises are often describing a lifestyle for renters, or maybe they're depicting this sense of community or promoting wellness or sustainability or diversity and inclusion or giving back to the community or even luxury living, simply put, right? So all these brand promises are what, PMCs or operators and owners are guaranteeing to renters who are living in their building. And when they're really bogged down with a bunch of paper and manual process, it's difficult to find the time to get back to those fundamentals that you've promised, right? And so, all of this can really slow down the ability for our site teams to really focus on meeting those basic resident needs. So if we can allow basic resident needs to be handled by technology and we can start to streamline some of those processes, we're finally leveling up. So streamline those processes, technology can handle the basics, and this is going to give time and effort back to the site teams who can refocus on things like surprising and delighting their renters through quality communication, or, hosting events or activities, or really great issue management. So if there's a concern or a problem at a property, they actually have the time and energy to focus on solving it well, following through on the things that they're doing. And this is what's really going to help them deliver the experience that's outlined in their brand promise.
Being as the front office IP, right? I think a lot about that marketing and drawing in those prospective residents, and then they get into the funnel, right? But here at RealPage, we deal with companies of all shapes and sizes. So you're going to have a different marketing structure. You're going to have a different tool to get that lease to you. What advice do you have for operators that are just thinking about their resident experience, don't even have a portal maybe?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. It's actually one we get quite often. I think the bottom line is everyone has to start somewhere. So, start with taking some of those most time consuming activities and find a way to digitize them. Portal technologies can help with a lot of things that are becoming table stakes now. things like online rent payments or service requests or amenity reservations or communication. These are all things that shockingly are not widely used in multifamily. So getting back to some of those basics and making sure we have all of those features turned on and we are engaging renters and we're really urging them to use it. So they're calling in for a service request, send them back to the portal and say, hey, I will do this for you this time, but please next time put that in. You'll have faster service if you go through the portal, for example. Then try to identify how you can start diving into the renter behaviors at different points in the journey. The journey is not simple. It's got a lot of different layers. There's a timing aspect to a lot of that, from moving to living to when they pay rent to their renewal process. And you can even utilize reward programs to drive things like online rent payments or behavior you wish to see from renters, like attending events or referring a friend or maybe renewing their lease early, right? So we can utilize technology to help us nudge along as much as we can. And this technology is really simple and easy to use, but it accomplishes quite a bit in the grand scheme of things. But I also think, getting back to simple things like listening to our renters, survey them to learn more about what matters to them, and work to really deliver an experience that actually meets or exceeds their standards. They crave technology. They crave robust consumer experiences. They're experiencing those things in every other aspect of their life. They definitely expect it in the scenario where they're paying their largest monthly bill towards
That's really how you level it up, like you said, exceeding their standards or exceeding their expectations even. Now, I've started to see a lot of companies begin working with cross-industry partners, similar to how Marriott gives me points when I order from Starbucks because I've connected my apps.
Yeah.
How do you see more of these consumer relationships developing this year and potentially into multifamily?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like renters, like any other consumer, they're starting to experience, and in many cases, like I just mentioned, coming to expect these more robust and intentional buying experiences. For example, when they're moving, they're expecting their renter portal to serve up relevant options like for movers or utility setup or furniture or insurance options. We expect that. It would be out of place if we were receiving offers for things that are not relevant to us. We notice that more than we notice things that are relevant to us, right? Or in their payments module, to see new transaction types or a focus on financial wellness makes a ton of sense, or rewards for engaging in the community and things that matter to them. So I think what we're going to begin seeing more and more is opportunities to level up the renter's experience by presenting them with offers and options that will ultimately allow them to personalize their experience. And this is meeting renters where they are in their journey and providing them the most robust experience possible.
Awesome. So we do have a question in the chat. So I wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Julie. How do you make sure residents don't get frustrated by bots?
Yes, this is such a great question. I know Krista deals with this from the leasing side. We're exploring this from the renter side, but I think the same answer is true across the board. And that really is making sure that we're informing the bot with the most relevant and personal and pertinent information that makes sense depending on where they are in the journey. So helping them source out the different layers that we can Q&A back and forth, and then ultimately leading it back to the human when we've hit the end of that list.
And Julie brings up a good point. We actually haven't even addressed it. And this has been a really hot topic here at NMHC. How do you envision AI getting more roped into the resident experience versus, say, leasing, where I deal with it a lot more than you would?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we're thinking about the resident experience, ultimately it becomes a little bit of a troubleshooter of technology, right? How do they navigate and find things in their portal or in their modules that they might need help with? But it's also, hey, I have an issue with this in my apartment home. I'm putting in a service request and I need a little bit more support, and nudging them and working them through some of those processes that allow us to gather additional information and really serve that up for them. So we're doing a lot of exploration around this with a lot more to deliver soon.
and tying them together, right? So like making sure that if you're having a leasing conversation, that on the other side of that, you become that renter and it just has that same seamless feel of
Absolutely.
that on brand approach that you were mentioning, Dayna, but also that you may know you're talking to a bot and you say you want to talk to a human and you know that person in the office type of thing, having that as a seamless transition. So all of those things are definitely being explored from RealPage's products perspective.
Yep, absolutely.
So one last question. What are you most looking forward to seeing in 2025 related to the renter experience?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is something I'm very passionate about. That's probably a nice way to put it. I'm really excited about this evolution of the renter experience to an interconnected ecosystem. And this is really where we bring cutting edge technology, playing that central role in trying to connect all of these things that are really important to the resident experience into one place. So imagine this environment where every aspect of the renter experience was all in one app. It has that AI driven support we were just talking about and analytics that really seamlessly integrate to create this symbiotic relationship between the technology, the operators, and the renter. So it really connects all of these different pieces nicely together, serving that up for a renter in the way that they need to see and experience it, or serving it up for the operator in a way that they need to see or experience it. And I think this innovation really positions operators as tech forward leaders in the market. It helps to attract and retain residents, and it helps to meet their modern expectations, simply put. But it also enhances really key moments like lease renewals or loyalty programs, or really generally elevating the resident satisfaction side of the equation. But it also leads to uncovering some new revenue streams and help optimize cost savings. So it's a huge win for multifamily, I think.
What a win. So let's actually end on a win. Thank you so much, Dayna. Thank you all so much for joining Multifamily Talks Live. We're really excited to continue this series and offer up valuable conversations and topics that you can expect monthly. And if you'd like to join us, please reach out to Dayna or myself or anyone from RealPage that you know to say, hey, I'd really like to be on Multifamily Talks. I have a great topic and want to discuss it with you. And also make sure to follow us, right? We're on LinkedIn. We're on Spotify and all the other streaming options for your podcast. And look out for any updates or upcoming live conversations. We hope everyone enjoyed the Year of the Resident and gained actionable strategies to create a seamless resident experience that drives loyalty and satisfaction. See you next month.